Pseudocode can be thought of as a detailed yet readable step by step description of what a computer program or an algorithm should do. Pseudocode is an important part of designing an algorithm because it helps the programmer in planning the solution to the problem. Pseudocode also helps the reader in understanding the approach to the problem. So, some key aspects of pseudocode is to write your pseudocode in simple English language that anyone can understand, regardless of which programming language they are familiar with. Another important aspect is to not skip any steps in your pseudocode. So, the steps in your pseudocode should follow each other logically. Indentation within your pseudocode is important because it is used to improve the readability and structure of the pseudocode. Do not write the pseudocode in a programming language. Once again, it's important that the pseudocode is simple and easy to understand for everyone, even non technical people. Therefore, the use of technical terms should be minimized. So let's look at a non-coding example that everyone can understand to illustrate how to use pseudocode. And this example will be how to make a cup of tea. Okay, what would be the first logical step? Probably we'd need to get a kettle. Because we are making tea, we should probably fill that kettle with some water. We should switch that kettle on or place it on the stove and then let that water boil, and probably one of the most important steps, we should get a tea bag. So at this point we are using something that is called a conditional statement, which is why this if word has been written in capital letters, because in most programming languages if is a reserved word or a keyword, but we are also adding a condition here to say if a tea bag is available, do the following. And this is where indentation comes into play. So if this statement is true, then we will have further instructions that follows. But for now, let's follow with the next step. So if the tea bag is not available, then we cannot make the tea. So let's add a step that says else. So in other words, if the tea bag is not available, we can display a message that says no tea bags available, we cannot make the tea. So let's go back to step 6 where the tea bag is available. What would be the next logical step? We should probably get the teacup to put the tea in. We can put our tea bag in the teacup or in our water. And you'll see that I've kept the same indentation here because this shows us that these steps are all contingent on this step over here. And that's also why they don't have their own separate numbers. Although the formatting with numbers is not mandatory, but it can just help improve the flow and structure of your pseudocode. So after we've poured the boiling or boiled water into the teacup, we probably want to let the tea bag sit for a while, let it brew, and once it's brewed enough, we could remove the tea bag or we could leave it in depending on how strong you like your tea. And then we could add another conditional statement where we have another if keyword depending on how the person likes their tea. If they want sugar, then there would be more steps that would follow related to this condition over here. So if the person wants sugar, we would probably add some sugar. And to show that this step is contingent based on this step, we add some indentation again. But if the person does not want sugar, they will probably just leave out the sugar, and that would be a terrible cup of tea. So once that is done, we can then essentially serve the tea. So the if statement over here and this else statement are connected, so we shouldn't put that as a separate step. That could all be one step. And then step 7. So step 7 should actually then be to serve our tea. And that is the pseudocode for making a cup of tea. And what is important here is that each step follows each other logically. If, for example, we were to remove these steps over here, it's clear that the pseudocode is incomplete because we are getting a teacup and then all of a sudden we are brewing the tea. So it's important that each step follows each other logically. And that is a brief example of how to write your pseudocode. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you did not find it helpful, let me know in the comments what type of videos you would find helpful.